happen?
They blame me.
There we go. No, we're not going to blame you, Rob. But we are live. So, I'm Allison, and let's see. To my side, my partner in crime, Peter. And today's guest is Rob Duenas. I believe that's right. Duenas?
No.
Duenas?
Sketchcraft. Yeah. Is
Sketchcraft?
your name Dwayne? Yes. Dwayne, yes. I know. I try to save people the trouble. So that's why
Sketchcraft.
I adopted the moniker. Yeah, it's just
Rob
easier
of
to remember.
So,
Yes.
a friend and a bit of a mentor for me. So,
An ally of the show.
yes, ally of the show. And we're here to talk about comics, art, and other such fun things. And, Rob is broadcasting from the last Suncoast video in the world.
If I had a little bit of FU lottery money, I would rebuild a Suncoast movie company and outprice myself with all these $100 widescreen letterbox copies of Ghostbusters. They're just too expensive for me to own.
Yeah. Sadly unfortunate. And Peter's having some internet problems as usual, so hopefully that will straighten out.
Maybe.
So Rob, tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm a freelance illustrator, concept artist, dabbled in comic books from time to time, since 2005. So I started out in licensed apparel, so like licensed T-shirts from all the Marvel stuff and Star Wars and everything, and got into video game magazines for a short stint before the Play Magazine and Retro Gaming Magazine, before the market dropped. And then I've just been doing whatever comes my way. So the last two big projects I worked on was Spyro Reignited, Crash Bandicoot 4, and some Overwatch 2. And these days, I'm just, you just bide your time till the next project you really want to take comes along. So that's what I'm doing now, just making fun art and hanging out until, those career waves, right?
Yep.
You earn money, hoard money, So we're in that phase right now.
Makes sense. Let's see. You also do some live streaming, right?
Yeah. So I live stream when I can, right?
Yeah.
When NDAs allow you to. Sometimes I find I don't want to do anything, and so if I live stream, it's like it'll make me draw faster. And if it's an NDA day, sometimes I'll put up the NDA cast where it's on a separate computer and it just has an image, and I just show NDA and I just stream while I draw and chat, because you get bored sometimes, right?
That makes sense. I completely understand with that. And let's see. I had a follow-up question, and I'm having an MS moment, so it'll come back to me eventually. But you're also on the Making Star Wars podcast with Jason Ward. You're one of the co-hosts, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's daily-ish, right? We tend to do this start Making Star Wars.net podcast where Jason's like an inside scooper dude for the last 20 years. He's pretty good at it. He's not clickbaity. Like if he's got news, he shares it. If not, we just complain about Gary Kurtz or I don't know, overanalyze or talk about production or look at concept art or just make jokes half the time. So it's good times.
Yeah, I've been on it a few times. It's a fun show, I can definitely say. Is there any characters that you like drawing more than others?
Any characters I like drawing? Here's the thing. The only thing that tends to be a little bit of a time sink, right? Is when people want modern video game characters. So someone says, hey, I'd like Overwatch. There's a lot of details on those characters because it's a video game, right? Versus say Green Lantern. So you got all this tech reference and weird things that gamers, because they self-identify right? A lot of times with the characters they're playing, they'll be like, they'll have something real specific, like this certain edge on a gauntlet is a big deal. And so like, I stress more about that sort of thing. So I'll be like, sometimes someone will say, hey, I like Warcraft. I like this armor set. I try to stay away from that, like, as much as possible. You know, I enjoy drawing the characters, but there's just so much work involved sometimes. And if you don't get every detail, they think like you forgot something. Oh, you forgot that thing. I'm like, no, I intentionally omitted that because I'm not spending 15 hours drawing just one. You know, like, we got the big shape down, my friend. We're not trying to like zoom in microscopically and give you a 4K, you know, 8.5 by 11 sketch. You know? Like, so that is the thing that I just, these days I just tend to ignore it unless I really wanted to already draw the characters, you know, kind of deal.
Yep.
So.
Oh, I can understand that. That makes sense. And you're also a fan of anime and things of that nature too.
Oh, you call it anime?
Yeah.
Yes. As I've been.
Call it anime,
there's certain. This has been a long-standing argument at Comic-Con since the '90s. I want to say Wendy Pini, someone over there, got into an argument between anime and anime, and I go, well, it's not animation, it's animation. So if anime is the shorthand for animation, seems to me it'd be called anime, but it comes like anime. Okay. And so in Australia they call it oregano. And here it's oregano. And I love using oregano. It drives my wife nuts. Awesome. So I get you. I do get you. Yeah, I do like a lot of anime or anime, whatever. I love all forms of
right.
I'm not picking a fight. It's in my head. There's this battle between GIFs and GIFs, right? Like, is G a J or a G? Because it's not a Jost. It's not. I'm gonna go shop at the. If I say the word, it's gonna sound like a World War II racial stereotype. But the Gap. It's called the Gap, right? Like, yeah. Right. G's G, J's J. So it's not called graphics. It's graphics. GIF. That's my argument. So Tangent Tuesdays over here at Sketchcraft. But yeah, no, I love anything that is hand drawn. Like, anything is hand drawn, is handcrafted, and anything that is handcrafted takes a lot of effort. And I don't think anything takes more effort than animation. Like, it's just hand drawn animation. 30. How many weeks staring at the same character, tucking and rolling, you know, walking down, you know, pose to pose, you know, follow through all the stuff, you know, like, it's just so hard. I'm in awe of it.
No, the reason I called it anime is because of I had a friend from Japan and they called it anime. And okay, that's the reason I was calling it that. That just gets stuck in my head.
This kid picked a fight with me in high school. I want to say it was 96 because he was in the same room at Comic-Con when that conversation went down. And he was like, I was there. I'm like, I was there too. You know, like, I was there. I didn't see you. Why would you? There was like 100 people in that room. I couldn't pick any of them out of a lineup. I can't even remember who started the argument. and we were focused on him. So what does that mean? Like, I don't know. Whatever. Call it what you want. I just think it's hilarious. You know? Because in the 90s, it's not derogatory, but the shorthand was Japanimation, right? Like, that's what everyone called it. Until, like, that went away, you know, with Cartoon Network or Adult Swim or whatever, you know? So, which is
because like US Manga Corps and ADV were calling it Japanimation. So, I mean, they even had it like in their preview stuff. They're like the best in Japanimation. And
well, I think that was just to differentiate.
Like Japanime.
That might have been just to differentiate between Disney, you know, because anything with animation had a Disney logo, and so that just assumed it was kiddie. So they were trying to show you this isn't kiddie. People are going to be ripped to shreds, and if you watch Wings of Hominies, you're going to cry. You know, like, don't watch Grave of Fireflies if you're having a good day.
Fireflies, yes.
Fireflies. Watch it, just not on a good day. Like, just, you know.
Watch it when you're already
it's a whiskey
sad.
Day.
You'll have yourself a good cry.
Yeah, real good cry. Yeah.
Oh, my father at one point it said to me, he's like, because I was talking about some anime, and he's like, you watch all these cartoons. He's like, how can you get into these? There's like no depth to them or anything. There's no real. It's like, is this all this action stuff? And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, you don't really get an emotional response. And I go, challenge accepted. He's like, what?
Then your father turns on SWAT. Right?
Yeah,
Right? Kicks up the Starsky and Hutch, you know. You're like, all right, I can see the real emotional depth here, Dad. You know? Okay. You know, Simon and Simon, I was there for all the great dramatic storylines. Sure.
So I threw on Grave of the Fireflies. He never complained about animation again.
Oh man, that's like saying, hey, how bad can substance abuse get? And you make them watch Requiem for a Dream, you know? Like, okay, I quit life now. Like, just need a timeout. Like, that's like getting. You know, when you hear people getting an intervention, Requiem for a Dream is like an intervention for anyone who watches it. Like, you're just questioning all aspects of life. It's a tough one.
Yeah, it is. It's very good, but yes, it's That's another movie that'll mess you up.
Ellen Barkin was robbed that year. Was it Barkin?
Yeah.
She anyway, the elderly woman, she was robbed from the Oscars that year. She should have won.
Oh, I agree completely. But yeah, no, it was that was not a fun movie.
Oh, I'm sure it was fun to make though, right? Like that's one of those movies where on set they're like, we had a blast. And you're watching this depths into Dante's, you know, 9th level of hell, and you're like, what? Well, it's all fun. That was the day we had chicken nuggets, and this is the day we all went to El Torito's, and you're just like, no, that's what are you? This is what? I hope I don't. Oh man, as I get older, right? I always wonder, am I gonna don't get hooked on anything as you get older? Just, you know, like be careful. Like I don't want to be stuck in my room afraid of my fridge. You know, like it's a 20-year fear. And as I get it, it's just crawling. And I look at that fridge. My dog's afraid of the fridge, and I understand why. Like, there's a lot of potential there. You know, I know it seems like a goofy, stupid thing, but if you have a vivid imagination and you might be losing it, the fridge could be your worst enemy. So,
Yep.
I fear it.
No, I did a sketch years ago of a washing machine like eating a kid. So yeah,
it's very Rob Schrab.
Yeah.
I have nothing else to say to that, other than I approve. Ghostbusters taught me evil things can come from the fridge. So
yes, they can. Oh, look at all the junk food.
Look at all these product endorsements.
Yeah.
Coke.
There's a tab in there too. So.
I know.
Oh God. Oh, that was crazy. That was a great movie. Oh, and you're also a big fan of Arcane. I know that.
Yeah, well, if you aren't, you don't have a soul. Like I think it's a good soul check, right? If you watch it and you aren't at least mesmerized by it's a soul check. You know, you might be one of those lizard people I keep hearing about. Like, you know, I haven't met one yet, but that's the litmus test. Yeah, it's brilliant. Moving concept art with the story to back it up. You know, brilliant.
It's absolutely beautiful.
When I say concept art, I mean like just looser textural paintings in 3D is something that I've been dreaming to see happen for the longest of times. Like when you see like the concept art for Destiny or even, you know, some of the movie stuff like Star Wars, and you see a looser brushwork, you're like, I wonder what would that look like if it actually was 3-dimensional. And that show does it, and it's brilliant.
Do you have any work to show off to anyone?
Like on me?
Yeah. You know, text.
Yeah, I mean, I could share a screen. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
Sketchcraft, you know, like I'm not really set up here for this. Let me see.
Take care, Derek.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see you later, Dark. Peter, how's your internet doing?
I'm getting 1 bar, 2 bars. It looks bad on my end. So
Yep, you're breaking up. Usually we have a bit more of a back and forth, but hey. I just want to show people your amazing art, so definitely check out is it your YouTube channel?
So, yeah, here's my Instagram.
Okay,
So
give me one.
I post a lot of work in progress pics and stuff. So, like, this was a commission I did recently for a little Harley Quinn chunk, right? Like the line art. And there's some digital colors. And then I did a little watercolor testy for fun, but then I did some color pencil, and then I posted that last night, the color pencil. So do a little bit of everything. I did this goofy, Eric Larson likes to tell everyone how to draw, like, and not draw the Savage Dragon. Like, anytime I post a sketch of Savage Dragon, even like his letterers will be like, you got the fin wrong. So I thought to make him like a word balloon where he just critiques the whole thing, and like, so I put all the things he'd ever complained to me about Savage Dragon in there, so thought it'd be fun. So mostly it's just, this is a cover I did recently. Oh, no, that's a video. So this is a cover I did recently for Megavision's issue 2 is a retro gaming magazine, or actually it's just a gaming magazine. So this is for Psychonauts too. I post all the whips as
Really
much
nice
as I
work.
can. Oh, thank you, Peter. Yeah, so I try to like show the process, right, as much. So from blobby to whatever. I've been playing around with a lot of fun shape design recently, because since when you work for folks, they don't let you always do what you want. So like, the minute you're like, I got some free time, you do whatever you want to do. So like I was doing fun, weird Banes. So little Carlos Maglia reference right there. Pretty familiar with the late great Carlos Maglia.
I loved his stuff.
Yeah. And then I got this big Power Rangers commission I gotta finish. So and then I was experimenting. Sometimes I experiment like during the holidays. And so this was a Bill Watterson test. Like I did this all digitally, like this little recreation of Calvin Hobbes and stuff. So just to try out some new brushes. So that's the original. Then I just remade it, digitally. So sometimes we experiment, and yeah.
I just dropped links to Rob
That's my pumpkin.
in chat, and yeah, he's got a crazy looking pumpkin.
That's my birthday, right? Rob 43-0. Sometimes I keep score, right? Like, and I've been having fun doing some of these smaller, like little, like 5x7s. So this is color pencil, and then this background is watercolor, and this is with a clear gesso, and then this is pastel, like pastel, dry pastel right on top. So I'm having fun with that. So I never really messed with the gesso layering before. Like it's just not something I've ever tried. So it was like, because Drew Struzan, like he has that Hellboy DVD set, right, where he makes the Hellboy 2 poster. And he's like, yeah, I used gesso to get the color pencil to pick up. And I'm like, what gesso? I don't like the paste, but there's a clear gesso. And if you do, like I found if you dilute it, and I have a cheap little airbrush, and you do a thin coat of that clear gesso and let it dry, one or two coats will create an extra grit surface, so you can then put dry pastel and everything over it and different color pencils and stuff. So there's a lot of art experimentation the last several months. Really. So,
that's really cool. I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah, this layering. And these are all done on the back of comic book boards. Like of all things, so was it BCM? Is it BCM makes the boards, right?
Yeah, I use the same ones. I have a pile that I draw them the backs of.
They the non-glossy side, it has this thing where when you lay down watercolor, if you it will work. I don't know how to describe it. Like you can also lift and dab off and pull off, do a lot of pull. Like if you put water, press down and pull off. That's how I get this modeling and stuff. So, and the color pencil flows on it nice. I've tried everything. That's actually the cheapest and most reliable stuff I've used. And because it has that aqueous coating on the back, you can put anything on it and just bend it right back in. You don't have to tape anything down. So you can work really fast. So like I could color one of these in about 3 hours. You know,
That's really good.
like, so when you start doing the math, because I was like, you know, I love doing full color commissions, but these things can take 12 hours and no one wants to pay. The average fan doesn't want to pay $200-$300, especially if you don't have a name, right? Like if you don't have a name, you're not selling $600 commissions. So the average person on the internet sees you. I have found that over the years that the don't have to explain to people, just buy what I drew price point is about $60. Most people see something in full color, $60. They go, oh, I could do that. So I'm like, how can I get something in a $60 range that helps my stupid algorithm, right? This fucking dumb that likes color. Which, you know, how do I get like color and the algorithm and the price point to work? And 5x7, right, on these little cheapo boards that, and I can do like, I'll do 4 of these. So you can see there's like, I did 4 of these little 90s Batmans. While one's drying, I just do them all, like all the color pencil at once. And then I do the backgrounds and rotate through. And then in about 8 hours, I have 4 of them at 60. So then I made 240, right, on a day's worth of work for about 4 to 8 hours of work, give or take how many I'm doing, you know?
Now, did
And
you
so at that point,
did you print them out on the? Did you like sketch it on the PC and then print it out, or did you just?
yeah, in this case, I did the initial sketch on digital, and then I print out at like 30% opacity. So when the water hits, well, there's going to be color pencil mostly here, but if any water hits, I just print it out at like an orangish sepia color, so it just blends in. You know, like matter of fact, this right here, this little art, this is a test, but like I did this watercolor. This is printed right on to watercolor paper, cans and mixed media. This is just painted right over, and it just blends right in. You can kind of see some oranges in there, but no more than you would see if you were doing like color pencil sketch or a Prismacolor sketch, you know, with some orange underneath. So it works out really well that even if it dilutes, it doesn't matter. So the only thing I do on these, let me just, so you don't vomit, let me just quickly get down here, is I tend to ink these with the red wine pens. So Copic makes those multi-layer red wines so that I can add black. Because if you ink straight with black, which is fine, but if you want more color depth, it's you don't got anywhere to go if you start with black ink. So I use the red wine, and then at the end, I use the little black brush ink over to pop the blacks, you know. But that's a technical. You can just ink with straight multi-liner waterproof. You just want to use waterproof ink. So you don't lay down some watercolor in the background and then all that ink comes off your page
And
like
it
cocoa.
just
Like Bosco syrup, you know, like, oh no, oh, that's ruined. Fun experiment.
Let's see, Christopher. No, this is not Sam Keith. This is Rob of Sketchcraft.
I wish I was saying, man, he's such a brilliant artist.
Fun
Sam Keith story. The last time I saw him, because I grew up in San Diego, so I went. I wanted to go to Comic-Con forever, as you know, Peter. It's been there forever, but I couldn't get my father to let me go till 1992 because Batman Returns came out, and I told him the creator of Batman will be there. So he was like, "Oh, okay, you know, maybe that." After that, I was able to go every year until '98. But Sam Keith had a panel upstairs when no one went to panels. I was like, "Oh, the Max guy, I gotta go." I go up to this panel. And we're there for like, it's supposed to be an hour. We're there for 35 minutes. And then Sam Keith shows up. And he wasn't there. And we all waited. And then he showed up, sorry, I'm late. And he basically told us the story about how he was drawing the Hulk. one of those Hulk issues in Marvel, and he'd got to the very end and he just didn't want to finish the last page because in his mind it was done. And his editor was like, we need the last page. He's like, but do you? Like, I mean, what does it really matter? You can just end it. And so he had to like reluctantly draw the last page. It took him almost like, I don't know, 2 weeks to like kind of get it done. And he's like, don't do that. All you out there. And he looked at, don't do that. Like, don't finish your stuff. I'm like, okay. So it was super fun.
I've never met him. He always struck me as pretty cool. I always loved his art style.
Yeah, I always like the mixed media. So like another artist is Carlos Maglia, brilliant cartoonist from South America, and he did a series. He did a bunch of stuff, but in one series he did at DC was Superman Infinite City, and you'll see on the panels it looks cel shaded. He drew the Superman and everyone with a clear, clean pencil line, but parts of the actual issue are also oils and acrylic or whatever, like painted on board. So like because he did a lot of animation work before, so there's like this mixture of hand painted backgrounds and digital work, and it's brilliant. He's a brilliant illustrator. It's one of the. It looks like an animated movie captured on paper, but it isn't. It's a comic book. It's really crazy. 2004, Superman Infinite City. So I always like that mixed media. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. So I have a question with when you make multiple pieces of the same artwork, are you just all together or just one at a time?
Oh, I pre-sell. What I'll do is I'll just go, I got 4 available. You know, can I get one? You can get one. Matter of fact, you know what I've found? Here's the thing, right? Because it for years it bugged me that, you know, if you're in a band, they only want to hear fans. They want to hear their favorite songs, right? Mm-hmm. And like people show up to a show, they're like they want you to play the song they know. If you go to a restaurant, you want the food you love the same way every time. You don't want your favorite lasagna. Now they added, you know, bananas or something to it. You want the same lasagna you always got. But when you hear a joke, once you hear it once, you never want to hear it again, right? You're like, oh, I know that one. And sometimes with art, it feels like we always feel like you got to make a new individual thing every time. Except people will see that if they like that, they want that one. You know? They don't want, oh, I could do another one. No, I like that one. Do you have it? So I was like, well, this, you know, they used to make like Starry Night. There was like 64 of those things. You know, there's not one star. There's that one Mona Lisa, but for all we know, the guy had 12 more on a shelf. You know, he's just pumping them out. So what I do is I tend to, if it's popular characters, I'll just tend to group like a good 4 is a good way to, I got 4 of them. If they're really well, you got another one, I can always do another set of, they're 1 of 4. No one's paying you to do one off unless they're paying you good money, right? Like you got 10 grand or 5 grand. Like, yeah, I'll do one for that issue of The Dark Knight. But for a commission, people just want the one thing that they see. So I find you might get tired of the repetition, but I like, how can I get better at this one thing? That's actually how I learn, right? Like by doing it over and over. So this is one, once I let go of that aspect of it having to be unique every time, I found that I don't have to convince people to buy anything now. You know, like you're not going to, please buy my stuff. It's just, you can draw some cool stuff and then make 4 or 5 of them, and then you'll know they'll go, which is nice. You know.
Right.
So,
that's smart.
Oh, I like that a lot. Oh. I've always liked your I love those Batmans when you're working on them. I was watching you do them on live stream.
Well, the problem with commissions, so right now I've only been able to draw like, oh, Rob, everyone draws a Batman. I don't have a lot. So over the last 10 years, I've always taken commissions, and you know, you ever draw like a Batman and then someone's like, oh, that's amazing. Can you draw a Garbage Pail Kid with the Green Lantern helmet? And you're so you end up getting all these weird characters in custom commissions, right? Where people want some if you're on a roll with Star Wars and then they want you to draw, Marvel babies, it's not the same audience. So like you get on a roll, you want to get on a roll. So what I've done is with these, I'll charge 60, right? But for the custom, it goes double. You see what I mean? For the same size and the same stuff, because it's going to, I got to do research now. I got to take the hit on the algorithm. So if it goes up to 120, and if you're going to double it, I just double the custom commission rates and whatever I'm doing when I do. So the getting in on these is the incentive to getting it now. Because when you want a commission a custom one, it's going to be double. So like it's that trade-off. You get a little bit of a price break, but I'm only going to work on what I want to work on. And that's how I've gotten away from like trying to tell people I won't do custom commissions. I will. I want people to feel like, I've always dreamt Rob would, or Alison or Peter would draw this certain character. That's still available, but it will be double, right? You know what I mean? And I will do it after all this stuff is done. Like I'll do a little run and then I'll stick to this for a while, then a little run and then stick to this. And that balance seems to be working over time. Like it actually, it gets these fans going. Because on the algorithm, you can't keep pumping up like subscribers. It will limit you. But if you do this, you get these like 1,000 views, 3,000 views, 200, 300. All the process shots get 200 views, right? And then you put up the final and it's like 3,000. You're like, okay, that works good. But if you try to go consistently for the same thing every time, you might also like end up making the same thing over and over again. And how frustrating is that when you start making the same thing over and over again and you feel like you're trapped, like in a style or an outcome, like I'm forced to create a certain thing now. So yeah, I always keep that in mind,
Let's see. If anybody's hearing any noise in the background, the plow just showed up here because I'm literally like buried under like a foot of snow or something.
No. Mr. Plow.
Yep, Mr. Plow.
These were others. No. These were tiny ones. This is like, that's a 3x3 or 4x3.
That's like
that was just me experimenting. Yeah, that was just me experimenting with the brush, like a Windsor Series 7, which I hadn't used, and the clear gesso. But these weird things moved. Like anytime I need to practice, just draw a Hulk because they're big and green. Like even if you screw up, the greens will generally look good. Like people love green, right? Like so it's an easy character. And then that Max, or I did a Max. Yeah. This was an odd one because the background it's ink wash, but I didn't clean the brush out properly. So I did this tonal ink wash thing that fixed to the background and it was stuck there. So I used an airbrush with watercolor to go over it. It doesn't work for anything else but what you see there. I've tried it with many colors, I got a bunch of Joe Chiodo color guides from like Cyberforce back in the day, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm always looking at like, okay, what did this actually look like compared to what printed, right? Like what was the real marker work? And then I'm like, what could you get these? So I tried these color schemes with it doesn't work. So it was like a magical one-off, but
it looked really good.
It was fun.
Well, one of your Sandman ones that was Delirium up there.
Oh yeah, the color pencil. These take forever though. These kind of color pencils. There's no fast way to do this. That's 12 hours of color penciling. Any way you look at it. So.
Have you made like prints of those yet?
No, I'm putting all of them in an art book.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you got that coming up at some point. You definitely have to be on so you can pitch your art book and all that when you have like Kickstarter up and stuff.
Will do. Yeah. And this is just weird experiments.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
Spider-Man and swinging away from Daredevil's Hell's Kitchen area.
Yeah, it was Watterson Buildings. I was like, what if Bill Watterson drew comic buildings, right? Like it was just like, and it's tiny. It's just a little like experiments, So
and the kaiju
that's
stuff.
My Stephen Platt. I was like, gritty Stephen Platt inks, right? Like I don't know why.
Well, it's fun.
Death. Yeah, so these color pencils are drawn digitally, printed out in red, and then I do a quick like lighting thing with color pencil over it, or sorry, my red pencil, and then I you can see I add the color pencil over it. Oh, sorry, but here. Oh yeah, it's a podcast. So sorry, it's video.
That's the second podcast.
Yeah, but you can see it. So
Yeah, the shine you got on that is beautiful.
oh, thanks.
Off the hat. And
Yeah,
everything.
I use polychromos. They're really they're oil based, so they're super nice. Like super nice.
Yeah,
They don't have that waxy buildup that the Prismacolors have.
Yep.
Yeah.
Polychromos.
So what are some of your earliest inspirations, like artistically? Like what did you grow up looking at?
Garfield. Right? Like when I say Garfield because of shape design, like I just remember the Garfield comic, everything looked like it had a shape, like the cups. And it wasn't Garfield, it was all the props. I just remember as a kid, like I love the way he draws spoons and the bowls and the chicken's feet sticking out the bowl, and so I would say Garfield, and then Calvin and Hobbes I got into, and Outland in Bloom County, and then the first comic book I ever got into was the original Turtles run by Kevin Eastman, Imperial Air, the Mirage Studios black and white one. It's actually not true. It's the colorized trade paperback they did from First Publishing. They did. Yeah, by First Publishing. Yeah, those were the ones that blew me away. And then at the end, it was like, we're working on a movie. I'm like, we're working on... Because I always imagined they'd be Muppets. Like, they're Ninja Muppets. These things look like Ninja Kermit the Frogs. And then they were like, Jim Henson's working on it. It blew my mind. So that mix of like cartooning and mixed media, because that First Publishing was hand painted, like Lynn Varley did Dark Knight, right? It's all like painted gouache and acrylic, and so it's super. Those were my bigger influences, and then again, creator-owned comics like Image. Not so much the art styles; it was just the fact that people could own what they made, and if it did get successful, they could be rewarded for it. Because I saw guys drawing comic strips, they owned it. You know, Bill Watterson owned the strip, Jim Davis owned the strip. Everyone owned their own strips. Why in comics did they not own anything? This was the strangest concept to me, even to this day. You know, I get, well, because the publishers, I'm like, yeah, but syndicate in a newspaper. But it's funny how one industry is like, yeah, we figured out how to not follow those rules. And the other industry is like, well, we're too entrenched in the rules, we can't change them. You know? So like competing influences, you know. Mad Magazine, you know, probably too.
Right.
I always had my monthly purchases when I was a teenager is I would buy Spawn in one hand, but then I'd buy Bone and a really weird manga like Berserk or Project A-ko or anything I could get my hands on that looked fun and adventurous, like Tank Police or something, you know.
Oh, Project A-ko.
Yeah. So anything
that.
I could get that was drawn that would look bulbousy and shapy. I guess in that way, Sam Keith, you know, is one of those blends of the two, right? Where you have the hand-drawn illustration, the ink work, plus this mixed media cartoony thing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, your He-Man was amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was me. I was always a big fan of that 1994 Stephen Platt, right? 93, 94.
Yeah.
When it was like Copics multiliners, right? When he was drawing with. So this is actually pencil because I couldn't do inks very well when I did this. This was 2012. I want to say I did this. And but I wanted to do Platt meets Drew Struzan. That was the idea. Now at the time, this was like my pencils way over here. But I could do the pencils, but I couldn't do it. I did figure it all out digitally, and it's the best I could do at the time. But the El Rey Network ran it one weekend. They hit me up. They're like, "Hey, we're doing a Dolph Lundgren special. Can we run this art on the channel?" I'm like, "You sure can." like please do. So it's funny. It's like I don't normally draw like Stephen Platt, but every now and then the 15-year-old in me is like, let's go make some more of that crazy fucking stuff. heavy metal superheroes, like
Exactly.
I always considered that stuff action figure anatomy anyway, like the image stuff, right? Like they're He-Man toys and essentially and action figures.
Yeah. Oh, I can definitely get behind that. This is Sandman stuff. You got Morpheus, Death. Those are your roughies, it look like.
Yeah, these are just my initial sketches for those. I just sketch them out on paper. I don't know why. Sometimes I do it digitally, sometimes I don't.
I do a lot of my roughs traditionally as well, so
yeah.
And I scan them.
As you know. Sometimes I do I did some caricatures this year for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, that was different when I saw you doing that stuff. It was cool, but I was just like, oh, I doesn't usually do character stuff.
There's Jason from Making Star Wars, and so what happens is sometimes I feel like the shape design isn't working anymore, and so I was doing some sketches of of the Falcon Winter Soldier. It might be on here. I think it might be. Anyways, I was doing some of that, and I wasn't liking how I was drawing. I actually just came off a project that I was very unhappy with. Like I worked for a studio that I thought I was part of the team, and how do I say this? Sometimes you have to adjust how you draw to a project, which is fine. But sometimes, not only do you have to adjust what you draw, they won't really want you. They want you to be whatever they are, but sometimes they don't even know what they are. So I was getting this feedback like, don't do it like that. I was being told what not to draw. But I couldn't be told what would you like. Do you have a style guide? Do you have a couple examples I could follow? No, well, yeah, like this. And then when I do it, but not like that. I don't know what that means. And it was 4 months of of this. And it got to the point where I spent 5 weeks on one sketch that couldn't get approved. I haven't experienced that since, I don't know, man, like 2002, like since college, right? Like, I'm like, generally, maybe I'm not the right guy for it. No, you're great. So it drove me nuts. And so I needed to recenter after that and just do something completely different. So I just went and did a bunch of head sketches.
And Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, this is a redraw of the Bachala cover.
Oh, yeah. I actually like yours a little bit better.
Oh, no.
And I love his art. So
Bachala's the best.
Yeah, he is amazing.
So that's my art, though. I just do. This is me drawing Lobo with I made this thing. Someone wanted a Lobo commission, and I had it in my head for the longest time to give Lobo a gun that was also a motorcycle, like a moto gun. So I wanted the gun. How do I explain it? The gun's almost the entire size of it. This is 11 by 17. So, yeah. So let me go. I started putting the work in progress stuff usually as so you can see. This was a lot of fun, but that took some time. And there's the final
Yeah, you were working on that for a while.
It didn't take long to draw.
Yeah.
The problem was I was having a bad. Well, I mean, look, it took. When I say long, it's not gonna take me a week. It's just it's a 15 to 18 hour day, right? That's a day. That's a overworked day and a morning, right? A hangover sleep, and you wake up, crawl over, and finish it, and then kick it to the editor kind of day. But I think the bigger problem was this is when I was working with the studio. I was so unsure of myself. I'm like, I can't suck. I mean, I'm not saying I'm good, right, or great, but I know I don't. What is wrong? So I went and did this as an antithesis to everything I was being told, to not do, because I was like, I can't. And so then I brought it back, and people in the studio were like, dude, the people here suck. Just you don't suck. They suck. You gotta chill. Because I haven't had one of those moments in my life since I first started out. And so, sometimes you wonder, is it me? Do I suck? Maybe I do. Maybe I'm done. Maybe I'm tapped out. And for me, I always feel like I'm just starting. So it's depressing when you're like, I feel like I'm just starting. I'm done. Shit. Like, no.
Detail work is great. The hook thing that he has, always when I'm looking at that, I keep thinking it's like, a pelican or something for the head.
I don't know why. I know it does look like a pelican. No clue. Like, I know.
It just works. I mean, it's something Lobo would have. It's no argument.
Yeah, maybe it's two cans because he likes to open up 2 cans of beer at the same time. Like, I don't know. Like, I would never try to draw a comic book with this level of stuff per panel, right? That'd be insane. So, like, I always say, I'd love to see a comic like that. I'm like, you in how many years? Like, so,
We don't know exactly what we want, but we'll know it when we see it is just the worst. Yes, it is.
Yeah. It's also really bad when it comes from someplace you looked up to. Like, if you imagine you always had a dream to work somewhere and you got it and then they hate you. Or hate's not the word. Like, you're just not what they were looking for. So it happens. And you're like, all right, it's okay. Yeah. But it did take me a while to like let it go.
Sounds like Blizzard.
Sounds like a lot of places, don't it?
Yeah.
So. But this sort of stuff's like my favorite thing to do in a sketchbook. Like, anytime I'm sketching, this is generally. I grew up watching Mark Kistler's Draw. Right? You remember Mark Kistler? And this is a sort of like he'd have this big wall of weird stuff he'd draw, and it was always connected, and it would go in and out of things. And so anytime I need to like schedule, like if I have a story idea, this is a level from the game Psychonauts, but I just like played through the level, and then I drew like you start here and then you go through the whole level. What if it was like a drawing,
That's cool.
So this is the sort of thing I like to do.
Right.
Yeah, just for fun.
You also have like a bunch of how-to stuff on your YouTube channel as well, like how you do things is up there. Like, you have an amazing it's like an hour-long thing on just doing perspective, which I highly recommend.
The easy. When I say it, it's because a lot of people ask me, how do I learn good perspective in construction? And I always send, including Alison, to Scott Robertson, who is the master at perspective. Unfortunately, Scott Robertson intimidates the shit out of most people. He's brilliant, So what I try to do is go, all right, can I create something that is I'll show you. Like, can I create something that is? Let me move it over here and open it up on a separate screen first. But can I create something that explains this simply? That the drawing isn't intimidating to look at. Like, you're not expected to draw, because I really don't like it when people look at remember like How to Draw the Marvel Way. Remember that book?
Yep.
So
I think every
someone had it.
Copy.
Yeah.
So someone handed me that book in the 7th grade, and I was like, "Oh, that's amazing!" There's this picture of Spider-Man swinging, and it was like, "Okay, first you start with the action line, and then you got like a stick figure, and then you keep adding on to it." I thought you had to do each drawing separately, like the book, because I'm stupid. Like, you gotta draw 8 times to get the same. I didn't realize you had to put on to stuff like. Until we did sculpting, like 3 weeks later in 7th grade art class, we did an armature and you had to put stuff on, right? I was horrible at that. I found that if I took a block of clay and pulled away and used a subtractive method, that I could make what I want. I don't get the add-on method. So my whole drawing style, like I tend to draw like silhouettes, is based around the subtractive method, where I start with a bunch of stuff and then I carve out the lines I need. And so I always think about, like, people might be intimidated when they see, like, that book was intimidating to see all these things I have to do to get there. What if it was just a really easy drawing, to understand perspective? So like something that's so this is my YouTube channel here at Sketchcraft. Super easy to find. And then I have a thing called Art Tips Yeah, and so this would be, I have basic perspective drawing, which is the good 23-minute primer, right? This is super easy to follow. And like I just break down 1 and 2 point in really easy ways to understand perspective and eyeball it in terms of like, all you need to know is if you can see the top of something, it's below horizon. If you can see the bottom of something, it's above the horizon. And once you understand that, you don't have to worry about lining everything up you see in life to 2 points somewhere on a page that are fixed. You can freehand anything so long as you understand how to parallel lines. So if I'm above or I'm below, I can draw, and the lines are in parallel and they're receding one way or receding the other. Long as they are adhering to one another, it will all flow together. It doesn't have to be perfect.
You got a fan, Rob? Skull Diamond here. Awesome to see sketchcraft on this channel. Oh, fantastic.
And then I have thousands of real-time art videos, literally over almost 2,000 of these. So I've saved every long form video, and then I got a bunch of speed videos because I forget how to do this stuff. Like if you're like, Rob, how do you do that color penciling? I don't remember. So like this is how I remember, because I just save all this stuff in these playlists. And then I come in here and I go and watch how I did. So if you want to know how did I color this stuff, it's all right here. Yeah.
And so. Frank got the got your got the YouTube channel in there again, which is good. So I tagged
Thank you so much.
And and he just subbed to you, even better. I definitely recommend subbing to Rob's channel. His stuff is great. Plus, every now and then he lets me hang out with him. So
you're the only one up with me at 3 a.m. People go, "Why are you up so late?" This is the artist hours.
I also used to work overnight. So when I worked for WGBH, I was their overnight person. I was in the knock. I was basically one of the only people in the building. There was like 2 security guards and me. Oh, and the person doing the closed captioning. When they would do there would be somebody in the closed captioning office, like watching movies and stuff like that, and just doing the closed captioning. It's all that technology was created by WGBH.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was funny when the new Star Wars movies are coming out, and I was working for WGBH. I had them early, so
show off. So yeah, this is what I mean by the subtractive method. So I tend to blob things in and then just draw over it. So digitally it works out. These are different colors so I can just see the difference. But I found that if I just blob this stuff in and then I fill it with white, turn the opacity down, I can draw over it, then I can get all these crazy details without drawing a bunch of lines and cleaning up. So like it's a little bit, this way you blob, a little opacity, draw over. Once you see the perspective, like as long as you see 3-dimensionally, you don't see a flat triangle, but you see the center line here, right? Once you see all that stuff as an artist, like there's the center line, there's the center line, then they all can go into perspective and you can draw over it. And so you can get a lot of details way faster that way than like trying to, so you can get the construction of the character and then blob over all the clothes, right? And then draw over it. Or even right here, you could print this out with the blobs and have that guide there and then just draw it in. You don't have to draw, you can draw it on the page if you want to, which I do have the time as well. So that cuts down a lot of stuff. And I got that, I realized that inadvertently. Again, the 7th grade was my big year. Teacher was talking about Leonardo da Vinci. And she said something, I don't know if it's true. I looked it up. I've seen one thing about it maybe, but she said something about like he would stare at the walls and in white walls and would see shapes or see images, right? He said images. When I stared at the wall, it was because there was a poster of Michael Keaton with the duck lips doing the Batman thing, right? Right? He's like this. And I was looking at that when she said it, and I looked at the white wall and I had this image of I could still see the silhouette of Batman in my head because, you're going from dark to light. But when I saw that, I was like, oh, I could see this image. So I would get like a marker and I, marked in Batman, and then I put a piece of tracing paper and drew over. And I was able to just then figure out foreshortening. Because then I realized when you take hands and you do hands like the Jim Lee, or the Kirby punch, I don't have to work out a hand and work back. I can just blob in this stuff, you know, and then once I see the shape, draw right into it. And once I had a container, I wasn't drawing off the pages. You know, you ever started drawing, you're like, whoa, how do I keep it on the page? So yeah, I sort of self-learned that, which apparently it's a pretty common art technique, but when I was a kid, I don't know, man, you know, like, yeah, super helpful.
So if anybody wonders, like, one of my artistic influences, yes, it's Rob. So
I appreciate it. Well, have I bored you all yet? Like,
no,
Peter, you'll like this. I own this. A page of Ash. Is your brother inked this one, right? So I actually own this page from Ash Summer, 1984. This was not easy. I don't own a lot of art, but I always loved this one that Humberto drew. And I came across a page at, Humberto, he drew that. Humberto, yeah. Ash, it was a miniseries, Ash Cinder. Yeah, so there's Palmiotti. Jim's inks right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Humberto, yeah. I posted it.
I named the character.
Oh, you did? All right. Yeah. I love the book, so I love Ash. I think they sold it. Am I right? They sold it to like DreamWorks or something. I think was or something like that.
Well, they licensed it for years and years and years. It was supposed to be like the first CGI superhero came to be. So they made some money off of it.
Good. All I know as a fan, I'm not the hugest fan of one company owning everything. But if there was ever a case for a firefighter superhero to be in the MCU, if there was ever a case, I mean, dude turns into a superhero, firefighter. It's an amazing concept. I love the character Ash. So
yeah, I've always loved Ash.
Yeah, that's my.
That was some of Quesada's best stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is my comic rack I bought last year and put all my comics up. So those are all my childhood comics. So I'm that kid.
Is that
and yeah, I don't just have
a Prophet poster back there.
Which one? Sorry, Peter.
Yeah, the Prophet. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Peter, what was that?
Is that one of the new spinner racks? Like there's.
The $500 ones. Super expensive, bro. Super. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Heavy as shit. Worth it. I know it's. And let me tell you why it's worth it. Because now I can see my comics right here. And as I'm drawing, sometimes I'm like, why am I doing this? I hate life. And then I go, oh, I remember because I love this. So I just rotate them around. So I can just got them right here whenever I want, you know. And I can always, you know, they're out of the boxes. I don't care. I'm not a slabber. I'm not into that whole, you know, I learned my lesson about the speculators market in 1994, 5, and 6. What that did to the whole industry. Yeah. So I just wanted to be able to see my comics. And so
I have one book slabbed, and that's it.
And when you load this sucker up, it holds hundreds, 500 comics. It's heavy. Yeah. But it's excellent.
The only book I have slabbed is Hulk 181.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, if I had, you know, Amazing Fantasy 15, obviously it'd be slabbed, you know, but the image, I mean, that was kind of, I Pete the Peeled, okay. I had Pete the Peeled postal worker in there. I'm not slabbing it. You know, I just want to be able to pull it out and look at it. You know? It's one of my favorite indie comics. Cool part is you can't see from this image, but I have learned that the comic on the inside, if you just flip it around, you can get an extra image facing you. So like the last comic, I just flip it. So when I rotate I can see, there's a bunch of extra comics in there. So fun little.
That's awesome.
So
yeah.
This is all the work I did on Crash. So and this right here, I put up because sometimes people frown on fan art, right? And I know like in college, my teacher was an animator at Disney, and he was like, fan art, don't ever show them that. But this was a piece of Crash fan art I did in 2012 for myself because I felt I'm a big Crash Bandicoot fan, coincidentally. And I felt like every time they put Crash out, they Chuck E. Cheesed him. You know where Chuck E. Cheese gets more kid-friendly? Like, he used to be like a gangster with the top hat and a cane. And now he's all hip and he's got roller skates and so I was like, well, I just wanted to be like a Tasmanian devil. So I did this in 2012, right? And posted it and didn't think anything about it. 5 years later, the studio hit me up to work on Crash 4 because they saw that on DeviantArt. It wasn't my ability to draw. It was just that I was thinking differently. Like there's a different thought. So it gave me the opportunity to test. I did a couple example pieces. And then I worked at Toys for Bob for about 3+ years. So until Activision.
You also did like the Spyro stuff. And that's your Berserk Boy stuff, right?
Yeah, that's just coming out in April. It's an indie 2D pixel platformer. So I did the promo art and most of the cutscenes for Berserk Boy. So if you go to Steam, Berserk Boy, you'll see that right there. Thank you. Thank you. It's my Capcom mode, right? Right, like Capcom-ish. Yeah.
Capcom stuff is always awesome. So yeah.
Well, have I chatted your folks' head off? Is there anything?
Well, it's been about an hour. I think you know. But no, that was great. That was amazing, Rob. Thank you.
Yeah.
And definitely when you have your
great
sketchbook.
work and
yeah, when you get your sketchbook,
thank you so much.
Drawing, definitely come on, and so we can pitch it. So
yeah,
and try to get sales.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, and if any folks ever have any questions, just hit me up anytime. I answer. You know. Well, I'll always be. I'll make a video. We can all learn. You know, like I'll answer.
That's happened. I know one of those perspective videos is because of me. So
there you go.
I asked a question if I was getting it right, and he sent me back a video. So
the one idea I'm toying around with before we go is I don't yet know how to perfectly. I did an audio chat about it a couple days ago, but people have always asked me, how do you get the perspective drawing, the figure working out, the construction? Like, you know how to draw a figure, you know how to draw a perspective, but how do you put it together? Like, how do you, I know it seems easy, you just draw a scene, you put someone in it, but that's not what they're saying. What they're really saying is, how do I transform these techniques into design, visual design, you know, and shape design and inventing new things from those techniques? At what point can you, and how do you do that? And I'm still struggling with, I think that's so specific to every artist and where you're at, that it's like there's almost like a something in your head that has to turn on at some point, and that's different for everybody. And it took me the longest time for it to turn on because I was so focused on a technical aspect or maybe coloring or something technical, but to put it all together and then to have a voice, to be able to get how you think and something you want to say through the art to speak emotion. That is something I'm still struggling with how to articulate. And I don't think anyone has really covered that yet. I think I wish someone with much more skill than me would tackle that for people. I really think a lot of artists are wondering, you know, and I think sometimes people feel if they don't do it, there's something wrong with them. Like, no, I think that's the hardest part.
No,
how do you?
That is the hardest part, is trying to figure out how to make that all work. I completely
and
agree.
it's not a flaw. It's just sometimes it's just different for everybody. So it's not a recipe. It's not like cooking where you can just say, oh, I can put in these ingredients and get an end result. I'm sure publishers would love that. You know, so it's not that at all. So.
Let's see. Also, Skull Diamond is fun action figure anatomy.
There you go.
So, yes, if people wonder when I refer to my stuff as action figure anatomy, it's because I stole it from Rob.
It's my fault.
Stole it from Rob.
I'm sorry. Learned a bunch of bad habits. My bad.
I learned a shitload of bad habits from Rob, and I'm proud of them. So,
yeah, badass habits, eagle fang. All right.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Nice to meet you,
Thank
Peter.
you, Rob. I really
Alison, always like to say hello.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we'll see you guys later.
Our pleasure.
Yeah. All right.
What's that?
Are we signing off as well?
Yeah.
About an hour?
Yeah, we're signing off. My internet was most of the show. It was really, really bad. Apologies for that, but one day I'll have better internet. So yeah, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you everybody in the chat for chatting. There's also links below. Anything I don't have there, I'll include. But yeah, go check out Rob's work. His YouTube is
give it
and learn.
definitely give him a follow. He's got a great amount of video on there for teaching, and as I said, Rob really helped me get over a lot of my artist issues several years ago now, and I still really appreciate it. So yeah, definitely check out his stuff. It's great. Give him a like, follow, subscribe, hit the bells.
They show it.
All right, see ya.
Yeah, all that. All right. I have to hit the double button. So we're still